right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and it was good to see our friend Harry Peterson Nedry here in the store. He and Mike Erie's are making some great wines here at Chehalem, and you know, these guys, well, Harry planted his first vineyard in 1982, and that was Ribbon Ridge, and now they have just celebrated their 30th harvest. Wow. So he is one of the pioneers of the Willamette Valley and making some outstanding wines. And, you know, it's good to see that they're still making progress here, and they now bottle everything in screw cap. One of the things I love to see as a merchant, the screw cap, not just on their everyday wines, but on all their wines. Harry said they've been doing a lot of research on screw cap versus cork, and the level of oxidation that a corked wine gets is like exponentially more than a screw cap wine gets. So producers out there, if you want your wine to taste oxidized when it gets older, put a cork in it. If you want it to taste fresh, low level of oxidation, put a screw cap on it. And if you want to give your wine drinking people, your followers, a great and consistent bottle of wine every day, I can't stress enough, the screw cap is a much better enclosure than a cork. And I can attest to that because as a wine merchant, I got a pile of wines that are sitting behind my desk that are cork finished. There's not one screw cap back there that anyone's ever returned to me. A much more consistent enclosure for any bottle of wine, not just an entry-level bottle of wine. All right, let me get off my soapbox there. Let's get on to Chehalem here and their Chardonnay Inox. And all these wines are estate fruit, and they've been so for like a decade now. They used to buy a little fruit. This wine mostly comes from the Stoller Vineyard, and they've been making this unoaked style since 2002. And fresh and light wine here, some lovely green apple and lemon zest, some wet stone and mineral-like notes. This is 100% Dijon clone. It's got a nice little buttered popcorn note to it, which is even more pronounced on the second day. I like a little bit of that buttered popcorn note to the Chardonnay. Really clean and refreshing on the palate, though. A solid core of that tree fruit from the nose, and a bright, refreshing core of acidity and minerality on the finish. Really good juice at $20.25. All right, the Riesling 3 Vineyards, and this 3 Vineyards line is because they have 3 different vineyards, which is a combination of the 3 different soil types that they have out there in the Willamette. So this is the Riesling, which got a bit of petrol in the nose, fresh peach and apple fruit, some white flowers, and little minerally slaty notes, some orange blossom there, sweet tart-like fruit on the tongue with nice tongue-tingly minerality and a bone-dry finish. Riesling, a great accompaniment to a lot of different foods. It's got a little bit of that sugar, and this one probably under 1 point of residual sugar, which adds some richness to it, and wonderful acidity. $22.50 for that. The 3 Vineyards Pinot Gris up next. And the different soil types I mentioned before, you have got the oceanic sedimentary soil there, you've got volcanic soil, and you also have a glacial silt. So the 3 different vineyards they have got 3 different soil types, and this is a good amount of that fresh apple and pear fruit to this Pinot Gris. Really pretty white floral notes, very forward and seductive. A fresh and fruity wine here, very simple and pleasant. A very good example of Pinot Gris from Oregon at $24.75. All right, the Pinot Noir 3 Vineyards here, and this wine is all the leftovers from the single vineyards and the reserves. So similar in style to all the wines they make. Fermented, well, they use a little bit more whole cluster, I think is at Ribbon Ridge, than the rest of the vineyards, but they make the wines in a very similar fashion here. This one's got very pretty nose of red cherry and raspberry fruit, some pretty floral highlights, some light smoky and earthy notes. Only 12.7% alcohol from this cool vintage, but still got lots of red berry fruit here. Silky smooth tannins, a nice hand of spice and earth through the finish. Very fine tannins and a long finish there. Excellent juice at $31.50, a lovely little entry-level Willamette Pinot. And then the Chehalem Pinot Noir Coral Creek Vineyard, and this is a selection of their best barrels from this vineyard site. Some of the wine goes into their 3 vineyards also. This is a glacial silt soils here in this vineyard, always very compact and small in structure, more like a Côte de Beaune style from the Coral Mountains. And it's got a really nice smoky character to the black and red berry fruit, some fresh truffle earthy notes, nice concentration and richness here on the tongue and nose, and that raspberry and strawberry fruit following through with a nice hand of zesty spice on the finish. Excellent juice at $55.50. Then the Ribbon Ridge, and this is that original vineyard that was planted in '82, and really bright nose of cranberry and raspberry fruit, some nice rustic notes there, brown spice, a touch of smoke. This is the site where they do most of their whole cluster. You get a little more spice from the whole cluster here, but if you got enough fruit, you can handle that. And this wine's got a nice hand of acidity here, also giving you a little bit of a mouth-puckering finish, that red berry fruit, dried floral notes, exotic spices, truffly, earthy notes. Nice length and a really complex finish here at $54. Excellent as well. And then the Reserve Ridgecrest The first reserve was 1994, and it's always been from the Ridgecrest Vineyard, or most of it is. Today it's all from the Ridgecrest Vineyard. They make 4,000 to 5,000 cases of this, so rather large production for a 400 to 500 cases, I'm sorry. It's a rather small production here. Black raspberry fruit with some notes of fresh flowers, exotic spices, a touch of smoke and earth. Really nice complexity. You definitely notice the concentration and intensity level here is up a notch. A rich and concentrated wine on the tongue as well, with some tannins here, but silky and velvety smooth, and lots of that red and berry fruit, and a nice hand of spice and earthy notes on the finish. Really just more length and more richness in this wine than all the others. Most excellent juice at $64.50, and that's what we had to drink with our friend Harry Peterson Nedry from Chehalem Vineyards. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.